I want to start off my message by telling you something that's going to seem simple. And some of you are like, well, yeah, that's kind of your thing, Kyle. That's kind of what you do. Well, I know it's going to sound simple. It's going to sound simple enough that you'll probably think to yourself at some point in this sermon, does this really need to be a whole sermon? It'll probably sound simple enough that you're tempted to dismiss it and think, it's interesting, but I'll wait to hear what's next week. I just think that what we're going to talk about in these next few minutes, even though it's simple, has the potential to profoundly impact not just your relationship with God, but your whole life, your relationship with other people, how you see yourself. Here's the idea. Again, it's going to sound simple. A word you speak is more powerful than a thought you think. A thought that you speak out loud with words is more powerful than thoughts that just stay in your head. And we're going to see in a few minutes how science shows this is true, that when you speak certain words, your brain wants to believe what it hears you saying. Your brain leans in differently when it hears a thought spoken out of your mouth. When my kids were young, I would challenge them to pay attention to the words they spoke out loud about themselves and about their circumstances. I remember taking my middle school daughter to school one morning, and she was telling me on the way to school about some drama in the friend group the day before. And I'm just glad she was sharing with me kind of what's going on in her life. I want her to share her emotions with me. But as we're driving, I start to hear her words turn on herself. And she starts saying things like, Dad, I'm just so awkward. And no one really likes me, and I just don't fit in anywhere. And I said, hey, stop it. I want you to tell me how you're feeling, but there are certain things you can't hear yourself say about yourself. Because what's happening there is you're not just making observations, you're programming your mind. You're creating neural pathways. You're giving yourself a road to think about yourself. And so I tried to tell her, like, your brain's always listening to what you say. And when you say those things about yourself, you're teaching yourself to believe those things, to think about yourself that way. Look, honey, you're smart and you're kind and you're beautiful and you're funny, but if you keep telling yourself the opposite, then you're gonna start believing the lies instead of the truth. The words you speak out loud are more powerful than just the thoughts that you think in your head. And we're in this series called Every Thought Captive, and we're being challenged to take our thoughts captive as a way to break down strongholds, as a way to be transformed, as Romans chapter 12 says, by the renewing of our minds. And yet, oftentimes the words we speak kind of betray ourselves. We have these thoughts and we say them out loud, and those thoughts end up having even more power over us. It's not just middle school girls, right? Like last month I was sitting at a gate in an airport and I overheard a woman on a phone, and she was talking about, I think, a job interview probably that she just had, and I heard her say, I completely blew it. I always say the wrong thing in those interviews. I'm not cut out for jobs like that. After teaching a group of men a couple of weeks ago on strongholds, a man came up to me afterwards, was telling me about his marriage, and he said, I don't know why my wife puts up with me. He said, I don't know how to be a good husband. I find myself just doing the things my dad did. It didn't work for him. It's not working for me. She deserves someone who actually knows how to make her happy. I went to visit a man in the hospital a number of months ago, and he said, God's punishing me for something. Either that, or he obviously doesn't care about what I'm going through. Maybe he helps other people, but God doesn't help me. And each time, what I want to say is, don't let yourself hear you say that. Don't let yourself hear you say those things. It might seem harmless, but there's a difference between thinking a thought and speaking a thought. And when you speak a thought out loud, your brain pays closer attention.